Hello, and welcome again to Talking Baseball with Leon Lee. Today is January 12th, and my name is Steve. I'm here again with Ryan. And of course, we're going to do our best to keep up with Mr. Leon Lee talking a little baseball. But today, Leon, again, we have some very special guests.
Yes, we do, Steve. I appreciate you and Ryan being on again, but we have, along with our past superstar we've had on the last couple of podcasts, is Ricky Jordan. He's back with us again today, and he also brought a local legend. And I like to say he's, not only a legend, but a really close friend of ours. And as we grew up in the game, we created this bond with our Sacramento guys, and we have tonight with us Fernando Vina, ex-Major League star with the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. But I like to say just one of our friends, and we're glad to have you here tonight, Fernando. So welcome on the show.
Thank you, Leon, so much. Thanks all of you, Ricky, for getting me in on the show also, and to all of you here with me. So thank you so much. It's an honor.
That's great. And, just during these tough times and to get together, even though we can only do it on Zoom right now, I think it works pretty good too, because normally we wouldn't have been getting together in a studio to do this thing right now. So we're kind of fortunate in a way to be able to get guys on, and like yourself, Fernando. And tonight we talk a lot about hitting. We talk a lot about the situation with Major League Baseball, but we decided we want to really get into talking the things that are good for young kids, especially nowadays, the way they're learning. I'm kind of a revolutionary. I'm a rebel against this new analytic game and participation. We talked about, you get an award for participating. We talk about different things in the game, but tonight we have Fernando on, and we're going to really get into talking about how to play proper defense, and especially the middle infield positions. Fernando, there's nobody better to talk to about middle infield, especially second base, because I still personally think second base is harder to play than shortstop. That right side of the field just seems to be something awkward about the right side of that field. But if you could just lead in and just give us some tips for the young kids. We want to really aim this thing at the young kids and give them some ideas, the psychological side along with the physical side. And Ricky and Rhino and Steve, myself, we'll just chirp in and kind of ride your back tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Leon. I think as an infielder, working with young kids and getting them started as infielders and trying to teach them the game and how to be good infielders is, we have to make sure we're ready. We have to get pre-pitch. We got to be ready before that pitch goes across home plate, which is key as an infielder in my level in the major league level. That's how I was able to be, to make great plays, web gems and things of that nature. But teaching kids these days, they like to kind of get a little momentum going and jump forward 2 or 3 steps to get ready and then, get on the balls of their feet. So I like to let them know and teach them to make sure they get their feet ready right where they start. Let's just square up from there. Let's get to the balls of our feet right there, so we don't lose any range, any ground on the ball. And that is key for me, to start and make sure you're ready pre-pitch in time, even early. You got to be early. If you're on time, you're late. That was something Jerry Weinstein taught me all the time. If you're on time, you're late.
That's a good one.
Let's make sure we get our feet down. And as I got better as an infielder, I started slowing things down. I learned from Ozzie Smith, Omar Vizquel, George Kissel. George Kissel was huge to my development. He was a coach for me. God bless him. He passed away in St. Louis. But I
love George Kissel. Oh,
you remember
God.
Kissel? Yep.
Oh, yeah. He was, a walking baseball encyclopedia.
There you go. They call it in St. Louis the Kissel way. How to play.
That's right.
He had the ability to hit me 10, I think it was about 12 different ground balls that would take place in a game. Backspin, top spin, to the right, to the left, slow rollers, backhand, glove hand. He would hit all those to me. And I remember him telling me, and this is after I'd been in the big leagues a few years, I remember him telling me, Fernando, he'd say, Fernando, you're making some really cheap errors. You gotta slow down. We have to slow this down. And he taught me, he said, Fernando, every time when I hit you a ground ball, I want you to field that ground ball. I want you to keep your eyes tucked into the glove for at least 2, 3, 4 seconds after you field it during practice, just so we can make that a habit and get it on autopilot. And if I don't see the button on your cap, Fernando, you're doing it wrong. And we're just out all day. So it was amazing what slowing it down and letting the ball get to me and seeing the ball, how much better it made me as an infielder. The little rush, cheap errors were gone. And from there I started winning Gold Gloves. So it was just those, you know, I'll let you guys talk now. I don't want to talk the whole time, but just those little things of keeping my eye on the ball. And I teach kids these days, when I hit ground balls or I roll ground balls to them now, is I want to see the button on your caps, and I want to hold the ball in my glove for 2, 3 seconds after I field it with no movement. I just want you to hold it, and from there we'll come out of it.
Yep. And real quick before Ricky jump in there, I know he's going to say, but here's a George. I know you heard it a million times. It's a good day to work.
Yeah, it's a good day to work. Yeah.
That's right.
Every day is a good day to work. Yeah,
every day is a good day to work.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he was very instrumental in helping Fernando win those Gold Gloves. I mean, and I've been at camps with Fernando and watched him work with the kids. They love to work with him. I mean, and he starts from the ground up. You know what I mean? And a lot of kids don't do that. You know, like he's saying, they're come running in and they're hopping and jumping, and next thing you know, they're not down on the ground. You got to start down first and then work your way up. You know what I mean? But watching Fernando work with all the kids, he's great at that. I mean, he's very inspirational to the kids, gives them a lot of confidence, and then he shows them what they need to learn too. So he's good at that. I got to say that.
Exactly. But I think that and Fernando and Ricky both can agree with that. And for Steve and Ryan, there's a thin line between a AA player and a big league player, because I think we agree that once you get into that pro level, when you say Ricky working from the ground up and Fernando, I mean, talk about his work ethic is not even need to go there, because nobody outworked Fernando when he was playing. I mean, that was just his reputation. You could see it, you could hear it, but that was something that you have to show up every day, right, Fernando?
Yeah, you there's no days off.
But the energy, I think the energy you bring, and then doing the little things right, like you said, what George taught. George, I've had the laundry basket full of balls on ground balls from George. You know that. He'll make you take 3 or 4 baskets of balls, left, right, talking. Come on, let's go. And I did it at first base. And but he teaches you those little things. And the point I'm trying to make is the separator in talent is knowing how to do the little things correct over and over and over again, you know, to where you make the hard plays look easy, where an amateur or lesser player makes the easy plays look hard. Am I right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. That's
to piggyback a little bit on what Fernando was saying. I think anticipation on that infield is real key. You know what I mean? Even if you're at the corners or in the middle or wherever, you got to anticipate and be ready to react to balls. You know, it helps you out, you know, basically to get there faster and knowing what's going on. I mean, but it definitely anticipation is a big thing for playing that infield.
Exactly. And Fernando, what do you think? Do you see? I see kids nowadays when the ball's thrown, the bat is swung. You are excellent at reading balls off bat. I think that's something we were all taught, to learn how to read a ball off the bat and react. Everything is kind of in motion. You know, being able to see where the bat starts and being able to, like you said before, slow it down and be able to react to a ball off the bat. Now I see kids playing and it's like crack of the bat and then movement, where visually, you know, they should have already been moving and they're a little bit late. Do you ever notice that?
Oh yeah. I see that all the time. I had a kid that's he just made it up to the big leagues this past year, and they were in the playoffs this year. He's a Sacramento kid, drafted really high. I really keyed on him in the playoffs, and there were some ground balls that he missed that he could have made if he would have got down on his feet, on the balls of his feet early and not on time. He was kind of on time. The ball was getting to home plate. The ball was making contact and he was getting down, and you're late right there. You have to be ready. You have to anticipate.
Right.
You have to anticipate and know, and it all comes with working. Again, we talk about working hard. It all comes with getting reps, working, timing. It's all about getting better, seeing the ball and knowing your pitchers, how quick they get it to home plate too. Are they in the stretch? Are they in the windup? How quick will that get across home plate so I can make sure I'm ready? And I think, like Ricky said also, and for Steve and Rhino, we got to make sure that we're ready to go, and you got to have pride in wanting to play good defense. I think a lot of kids these days just want to hit. They think it's pretty. Let's just hit. And I was blessed, thankfully, thank God. I had to compete. Both. I had to make myself a player. So I made sure. I said, I'm going to work my tail off in the batter's box, but I'm going to work my tail off to be the best infielder I can be also. And I think you have to have pride on both sides of the ball and want to be the best for it to really show. And I mean, great things happen, as you know, Leon, and all of us here. When you work with pride and you have that chip not only on one shoulder but both shoulders, I mean, good things happen.
You better believe it. We learned early. I mean, our game started when we got up. Actually, the game actually started at a certain time, but our minds were in that game way before that game actually happened. Nobody ever had to tell us. I say us because we're in that era. I see kids now, a coach have to say, hey, you're up next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Man, did anybody ever have to tell us that we were up next?
No.
Or Fernando, Ricky, you're playing your position. A coach didn't always have to tell you where to go and how to go there and where to position yourself and how to react to this. Those are things we were expected to know. And we took pride in knowing those things. And that's, I think, what separated us.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, when I was coming up, I always made sure before game day, I was watching other games too.
There you go.
And I'd learn from watching other games in other situations and kind of put myself in their spots. So when it came to my game, I kind of, not that I knew it all, we're always learning. Even to this day, I'm learning about the game. Yep. But that would help me mentally, and to be able to see other guys play the game, the game of the week, whatever it might be, whatever was on, I was watching and seeing how different major league players, how they went about their business and what they did. And I would put myself, in their spots and say, what if it's hit to me right now? What am I going to do? And I think all that kind of helped me.
Exactly.
One thing I wanted to ask Fernando, and I noticed right off the bat, which I always kind of look for in infielders, he was instantly talking about the feet and footwork. And for me, everything starts with the feet. So that's the first thing I always look at with ball players. But I wanted to ask him, not only he talked about pre-pitch ready, but about the footwork and how that helps the glove work and maybe the footwork around the bag, and how important was that footwork at that level?
Oh, it's huge, Steve. If you look at when I would turn a double play, things have changed a little bit now because they're not going in trying to kill you at second base from a double play, and you have your back turned to them. When Ricky Henderson would come into me and try to just blow me into left field, but you're spot on, Steve. Your feet take care of your hands. If you get your feet down, I think the key with a lot of young kids these days too, they want to look pretty. They want to get their feet way up in the air, and kind of that takes so long to get your feet down. The bottom line is, and you look at a guy that I really look up to and speak with now, Francisco Lindor, myself, we make sure our feet are always real close to the ground. Whatever you're doing from an infielder standpoint, your feet got to be close to the ground. As a second baseman, I had to make sure my feet, I would start with my left foot on the bag, and my right foot would go to where the ball's coming. So if the ball was coming from the shortstop to the right side of the bag, I would take my right foot to the ball straight on. So my glove and right foot would go right down to the ground, quick as I could be, because I can't throw unless my feet are on the ground. So the key for an infielder to be good and to be a top quality infielder, you always got to make sure your feet are all around the top of the dirt and the grass. You don't want to get too much air under your feet. You want to keep those babies down as much as possible. You don't want to get up too high, too far. Sometimes, obviously, to get out of the way of a guy sliding into you, you had to get up. But you wanted to make sure you keep your feet both down, because when your feet are down, I can turn the ball and get it out off me and turn a double play if my feet are on the ground. You can't throw it with your feet up in there. You have no power.
There you go. And that's that question. That's that difference between that bang, bang play. When you release the ball and get it to Ricky at first base, that's that bang bang play because you got a little extra on the ball, right?
Exactly. Yep. I'd make sure get those feet down and make sure I was able to kind of use my energy and momentum that I took to get across the bag, and that would take my arm strength, by itself and make sure that ball had some backspin and carry it all the way to Ricky over there. So I wouldn't short hop him and I would throw it through him instead of, below him.
Yeah, definitely. On that infield, you got legs and feet are key. You know what I mean? Yeah. That helps a lot in there on the infield. You have to use those legs and the feet. You know what I mean? That's basic. They're always moving with legs and feet.
So so Ricky and Leon, you both played first base, and Leon, of course, Derek played first base. Everybody knows how good Derek was around the bag, but maybe you guys could comment on the importance of footwork around first base bag.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Okay. Well, first of all, over there, I mean, at first base, you always got to be ready. You know what I mean? Because a lot of stuff comes to you. You dictate everything. Of course, the pitcher has the ball and the catcher, they dictate it. But anything hit out on the infield or wherever, first baseman's always got to be ready for everything, whether he's backing up stuff, trailing a runner into second base. But at first base, I feel like a goalie over there all the time. I was always ready because I didn't care. I mean, you had good infielders that could make that good throw, but every now and then they'd bounce it in the dirt or whatever. But I felt like it was an embarrassment to me if I didn't pick that thing out of dirt for him or stop it from getting by me. So I was kind of like a hockey goalie over there, ready to go, because I always expected them. If I threw one in the dirt over there, I always expected them to pick it for me. So I was always ready for them. But even with pitchers holding runners on, you always got to be ready. It's just a lot. It was a lot going on over there at first base and moving your feet up and down the line of the base. Say there's a ball and they say outside, you got to call outside to the catcher. You got to call inside. So you got to be ready. You're moving all the time over there. A lot of anticipation about what's going on over there.
Exactly. And one thing I told Derek when he was real little, he used to follow me around, especially when I was playing in Japan. And he'd ask me sometime, all the time, I'm kind of, there's a lot of activity going around the bag. So the different types of dirt, and you guys can, every stadium, sometimes they have different kind of dirt that breaks up different ways. And you want to keep that dirt smooth, but also, the angle of if Fernando's turning the double play from a little different angle and his arm drops a little bit and the ball hits the dirt, it's going to bounce a little different. So all this information becomes important. And footwork, you see a lot of first basemen nowadays, they get 1 foot on the bag and they stretch way early.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. And then the ball's left or right. You got to be able to handle your feet in front and be able to see the ball coming and let yourself react to where the ball's going, so you can keep that foot on the bag. Right. But I think the most important thing is the mentality that they used to have. When Derek first signed with the Padres and he was going to A-ball, they said, well, anybody could play first base. So they said, he's an athlete, let's try him at third base. Well, I'm here to tell you that once he became a gold glove like Fernando, a gold glove at second base will save you a whole lot of one-run ball games if they can make the play. Anybody can't play second base. Anybody can't play first base. First base is that position that you able to get those balls out of the dirt because you did your homework and you got good feet work. Good footwork makes a good athlete. Right. So to me, what Ricky said and Endo, everything is in kind of a unison. I know my second base, Fernando. I know his arm angle. I know what his tendencies are. And I know how to position myself kind of based on where the ball's coming to him, for example, on a double play. So I'm already anticipating. Everything in this game always comes down to anticipation. Right. And boy, it moves like a smooth cylinder and the whole field's moving in motion because everybody now they just put everybody in a big shift and try to get away with it. Instead of teaching players how to read balls and maybe move a foot or two here, maybe a foot or two there, maybe in a little here, knowing how to anticipate what the information you're getting from that hitter and what the situation in the game is. So first base, man, I tell you, you get me a bad first baseman over there, I'm gonna lose some ball games.
Yeah.
Save a lot of outs with a good first baseman with good feet and good hands.
Exactly. That's what Dusty said about Derek when he had him in Chicago. He said, "Man, I tell you what, when you get a first base to save you a run a game, he don't have to drive in 120."
There you go. And keeps the pitch count on your relievers down because you're getting those out. You're not giving up more than 3 outs.
There you go. That's a great point right there. Because every time you make a silly or unnecessary error, that adds another 5 or 6 pitches that pitcher has to throw.
Definitely.
That changes. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't make that play. Here comes that big bat to the plate too. Now
there you go. There you
take
go.
that thing over the gate. Now you're down 3 instead of down 1 or tied. So. Yeah.
And that mistake he made in that first inning and that extra pitches got Greg Vaughn to the plate in the 9th inning with 2 men on base.
Doesn't it always happen that way after always. A guy boots one or you don't turn a double play that should have been turned?
Yeah.
You get the next big guy up and you're giving up more outs on top of that, and then you're giving up somebody that can go, deep real quick and change things, and it happens all the time. So
it does.
You realize until you have guys that can play D and take pride in it to make sure they don't give up extra outs, because those type of guys are huge at any position.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. My whole strategy when I managed in Japan, I went over, being an American or African-American manager too in Japan. And I was a hitter. Everybody recognized me as a hitter. But when I managed, I said, we have to go to work on our defense, especially up the middle. I got to have a catcher that could receive. I got a catcher that can keep guys somewhere, the pitching staff going. I don't care about throwing runners out. I need to have guys in the middle that can handle the place, and I got to have a guy in center field that could cover some gaps. And if we could shore up our defense, we'll win ball games. Because I know if you can have a great offensive team and some big guys that hit 40 home runs and strike out 200 times, but those guys aren't going to win a pennant for you. If they can play defense, they're going to win ball games for you.
Yeah, definitely. On the defensive side, though, I always used to think of it as if you can make the routine plays, the majority routine plays, you can stay in ball games. Just the
there
routine
you go.
Play. Don't the ESPN dunce like Fernando.
Fernando had a lot of that.
Yeah, you'll make those, but the routines, if you can keep the routines, you're gonna stay in games just by making the routines, So
that's perfect. Yep.
So
what do you think of this, Fernando? I'm going to ask my question now. I always said you got a runner at first, nobody out, and I would always say make sure a 1. And people like to say get 2. And I would say, if you can get that lead runner consistently, you'll win ball games. How do you feel about? I know a double play is a bonus.
Oh yeah.
They ham and eggs, get 2, roll it over, all that's great terms. But I just like to say, get 1.
Yes.
If you get me 1 out, I'll win ball games. Am I? How do you feel about that?
Yes, for sure. Without a doubt. That's again anticipating, knowing your runner there at first base.
Yeah.
Knowing how hard the ground ball is hit from a second baseman standpoint. I always wanted to make sure I got that that first runner, that guy out at second. Let's keep him off the scoring position if we can. And that's what I tell kids these days when I work with infielders. I say, you know what? They all want to, rush and try to throw a bullet or a cannon over to second base, and they throw it in the left field or whatever it might be. We got to make sure we get 1, or we can't do anything from there. So let's slow it down. Let's make sure we get that first one, and then we'll take care of 2. It's great to turn 2, but we got to, like you said, you got to slow it down and break it down. Let's make sure we get that lead runner and keep him out of scoring position, because if you do that consistently over a 162 game season, you're going to win a lot more games than not doing it and letting that guy sneak on there and only getting 1. And if you get 2, that's gravy. Obviously, that helps even more. You eliminate fouls.
So
yeah.
So to follow on with that, our resident youth shortstop here is Ryan.
Rhino.
And when you were working with shortstops there, Fernando, how would you work on just getting that lead out at second base with the footwork around the bag with your shortstops? How do you teach that today with the youth? If you had Ryan as a student.
As a shortstop?
Yes.
I would, again, make sure that Ryan got his feet down early. We got to make sure, we got to start there. We got to make sure we get our feet down early and our glove down. Like Ricky said earlier, you got to work from the ground up. When your glove's down, it's so much easier to bring your glove up than a lot of these kids these days go, they start their pre-pitch and start going to the ball with the glove up by their chest. And then at the last minute, they're jabbing at the ball down in the ground. And so many bad things happen when you do things late and you rush, so I had to make sure Rhino's feet are down, first of all, early before that ball crossed home plate and was able to get to the barrel of a ball. And then on top of that, we get our feet down, and then we got to make sure we charge the ball, obviously. And we got to center the ball. We got to field the ball right. If you're going to go wrong from the shortstop position, let's field it over to our right side a little more than our left side, obviously, because if we get a bad hop, we want our chest to be able to block balls like that.
Exactly. Fernando, I'm going to say something that's, a little bit embarrassing, but you know what? Everyone has bad hops in their life,
Yeah.
So this is back in high school, and, my feet were on my heels, and it was a dirt infield, and the ball was just rolling, and I was waiting. I should have charged it, but I didn't, and bad hop happened.
Ate you up?
First bloody nose in my life.
Yeah.
Ate you up.
It taught me something. But I totally agree with what you're saying right now. You got to have your feet planted, and you need to be on the balls of your feet. You don't need to be on the heels.
That's it. If you,
So,
an infielder too. If as infielders, kids these days, if we get lazy, we don't charge the ball enough. We might stop a shuffle or two too early. We don't go get it or get around the ball. And then once you're on the heels of your feet, you're done. When you're flat-footed, you're done.
Exactly.
Because then you can't work on the tough hops. You really make that quick move to come get it. But you always have to be on the balls of your feet, like Ricky said over at first, and Leon. Your feet always got to be creeping. They're always got to be moving.
Right.
Always thinking about making a play. Regardless of what you're doing from an infielder's position, you got to read those hops, and that comes from reps. Do I want to step back one step to get a ball to come up on me a little easier, or do I want to take one step in to make sure I get rid of that short hop that was going to eat me up? So it's always being on the balls of your feet and always wandering and creeping around with your feet. They got to stay active.
Yeah. And when you're charging that baseball, you take away some of them bad hops. You know what I mean? On your own.
Exactly. Less hops.
Yourself, you know what I mean? You lay back, you creating bad habits, plus you're creating the bad hop for yourself. You know what I mean? So you gotta
exactly.
We as infielders,
be afraid to charge the baseball, be aggressive.
We got to dictate our own hops, and we do that by going to get it.
True.
There you go.
I'll live with an air being aggressive and going to get it and trying to dictate my own hop. I won't live with one if I stay back and I let it eat me up and I stay flat-footed. I can't live with myself then.
And I think part of that is from young kids nowadays. They feel that pressure of I can't miss. And so a lot of times they lose their confidence in going forward. And then they're sitting there on the defensive. They playing on the defensive side because they don't want to miss. And they're thinking, don't miss, instead of go get it and take my chances. Hitters do the same thing. They go, don't miss, instead of going up there swinging a hit.
You're thinking too much.
Exactly.
You got to be proactive instead of reactive. We got to go get it.
There you go.
And you know
Great
what?
term.
With these kids, I tell them, we're going to make errors. Yeah. We're going to strike out. It don't matter. It's all part of it's the game. We all do it.
Part of the
From Albert Pujols to Lindor. We're going to make errors. We're going to strike out. It's all part of the game. It's how you come back and show me what you can do the next ground ball or the next at bat. Who cares, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The mentality we got
to 10 times.
This grade will beat you up. This game will beat you up if you just react.
Yeah. But Fernando, Rick, you guys remember sometimes you get a report on Derek and the guys say, oh, Derek was kind of nonchalant. He's easygoing and stuff. The thing was, Derek was not afraid to make a mistake. He wasn't afraid to strike out, which made him better because he didn't feel that pressure.
Yeah.
And understand, we know, like you said, we're going to make outs. We're going to miss balls. But, hey, that's all part of the game. I understand that before I went into it,
Yeah. Definitely. Game of failure. Definitely.
It is.
I think there's a confidence can play with defense just like offense. And you can, I know I personally have been in a fielding slump just like you can go into a batting slump. Is that true?
Oh yeah, I mean, without a doubt, you get in your own head. Again, this game will beat you. It's so mental, this game at times, and when you wrap it together with 162 games and playing you're playing 3 games in Pittsburgh, and the next day you're flying out and going to Atlanta or whatever it might be. You add all that together combined. I mean, this it'll beat you up for short sessions of the game and short periods. So Leon will tell you, Ricky will tell you. For myself, it was a game within the game mentally for me to keep myself riled up and fired up and telling myself, you know what, I might have made a few errors, or I might have, I'm in a 0 for 25 slump, but I have to continue to work and practice and do the things the right way. And sooner or later, the good things start coming back.
Exactly. And you can't worry about what other people think. You're playing in front of a lot of fans. And sometimes you get up there and you're thinking what they're thinking about you. You went 0 for 25 and you're going, oh man, they must think this or that, or they're not really thinking that. And who cares? They're up there watching you. They paid money to come watch you. You're down on the field where they wish they could be. Exactly. So, you have to always act, I belong here. I don't care if I'm 0 for 10 or 0 for 15. Sooner or later, it's going to turn around anyway. So you just have to keep going through your routine and going out there, and every day is different. You put the shoes on and tighten up your belt and go out there and compete.
That's it. Yep. You're right. Dead on. I like that. When I was coming up, there was people would have scouting reports on me, and they would say, I can't do this, I can't do that. And in my heart, you know how it is. Everyone was always Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I said, you know what? I don't care what scouting report another scout or somebody might have on me. I know that I'm working and doing things to make myself better, and I'm not going to show up to that scouting report. I'm going to be a player. So that's the kind of mentality I had.
And, if I'm managing a game, I'll just use an example. Somebody gives me a piece of paper with some information. Well, 2 weeks ago, we played Fernando was really struggling on the inside pitch. But then I look at that paper and then I look at Fernando. I say 2 weeks ago don't matter because Fernando's a competitor. Ricky is a competitor. Today is a whole nother day. I come in there looking at that paper from 2 weeks ago, I'm going to get killed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see, because when you're dealing with a competitor, they're going to figure it out. And 2 weeks ago was 2 weeks ago. Today is a whole nother day, and they ain't quit.
No, because we're gonna go out. We're gonna go put that work in and get that mental attitude to change, because that's all it is.
Thank you. That's the message to kids right there.
You're gonna keep going in that slump, but when you put that work in and change that mental attitude, it changes around for you.
Without a doubt.
And we got to make an adjustment when someone's getting us out a certain way, or we're doing something wrong a certain way. We as players, we have to make an adjustment. So the way they were getting me out a week ago, they're not going to get me out this week, because I'm going to make an adjustment and make sure I can cover that ball now today.
Yeah. Exactly. And the same on defense. The guys hit balls a certain way, and balls hit a certain way and stuff. Well, you get that information, so the next time you face them, you got a little better idea who's pitching, what their tendencies are, and you say, okay, now I got a little bit more information now, so I make certain adjustments even defensively. Yes. And so that's the game. It's a constant process of anticipating what's going to happen next.
Here's another topic that I have to ask Fernando, because we've all talked about it on past podcasts, is the defensive shifts that have been deployed in the higher levels of baseball. And I wanted to get Fernando's input on how that impacts the roles and responsibilities of like a defensive second baseman. And if you agree with all of these shifts, and how far down should they be taught even at the youth leagues?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the shifts, to be honest with you, Steve. I even talking to infielders today in the game that are playing, they're not a big fans of it either. I think it puts you in some vulnerable positions. Sometimes you're kind of out of position. A lot of times, if things are hit, if it doesn't happen according to their reports, and also you're fielding balls off the lip. Sometimes you're not being able to get in off the grass in time, so you're taking some tough hops off lips. Sometimes that I've been told that with the shift so much. But no, I'm not a big fan of the launch angle, the shifts, all these different type of analytics that they're running with these days. I hope everything comes back to, these days it's hit home runs and you can strike out all you want. I like to, go first to third. I like to lay some bunts down. I like to make sure I stay behind balls and keep the game going. That's my type of game. And when you got analytics that they're running with now, I think it all slows down in playoff baseball, because you see in playoff baseball, you don't strike out, you get guys over, you're able to cut the bags and know how to run bases, which is an art. Mm-hmm. And you're able to bunt, which is an art. So I think the shift is not, I'm not a big fan of that, Steve, or teaching kids at this age. I mean, if you have good feet and you're able to position yourself and you anticipate, like Leon said, and Ricky, on hitters and what they do and how they go about their business and the way they hit the ball, if they stay inside balls, I think you'll be able to position yourself correctly and make up for any deficiencies.
Yeah, you see, Leon, he fits right in with us.
That's right, because everything Fernando just said is the definition of baseball.
Baseball.
And if I'm a fan, I'm going to pay money to go see that. Hit and run, move it over, take the extra base.
That's what's exciting. Exactly.
Yeah. We talk about that all the time, Leon. I mean, you get first and second and you get nothing out of it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
How do we not moving guys over and getting some kind of run in? You know what I mean? You facing, like we say, you facing that Kershaw or that big time other pitcher, and you can't even get one run in. All you need is one run, maybe sometime. You know what I mean? That's all you're gonna get. And they can't move. They can't move.
You better believe it.
Pop out, inning over. You know what I mean? You got nothing. So
when Bob Gibson, years ago, I was a young guy when Bob Gibson was at the end of his career, and I'm in spring training. And here's the thought process when they say, when Bob Gibson gets ready to pitch, he'll say, "Get me 2 today, guys." I win with 2 runs today. And the guys are thinking to themselves, okay, they're not thinking about a home run. How do we manufacture those 2 runs? We got to get those 2 runs so Gibby going to win that ball game. And the old days, it was like you did whatever you can to manufacture runs. Myself, considered a power hitter, but I knew how to hit the ball to the other side of the field, because when we were growing up and playing pickup ball, which kids don't do nowadays, man, if you didn't execute, get the ball the other way, hit the ball there, get the bunt down. The way I became a better hitter is learn how to bunt. But now you get men on first and second when nobody out, they go, well, we got 3 shots at the 3-run.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, I got Ricky Jordan coming up next. I got Fernando up there. I got the great combination. I got guys that can move runners, and I got guys that drive them in. Like old George Kissel said. George used to tell us, get those rabbits on base so the turtles can drive them in.
Lou Brock, everybody. No, that's winning baseball, and I think that kind of gets pushed away these days until we get into the playoffs. And then in the playoffs, you start seeing more. If you look at the teams that have won the World Series the last, 2, 3, 4 years, the Astros or the Red Sox, I mean, all these teams didn't strike out. They put the ball in play. The Giants, when they were winning, they would put the ball in play and they would move runners over in big time.
It was competitive. Yeah. It was situational. It was different.
It was different, situational, not as many strikeouts. You have some pride, let's not strike out as much as put the ball in play. And
exactly.
Let's hit the ball the other way or know how to do it.
Some more bases,
Well, yeah. I mean, and you put pressure on the defense. I mean, if you're going to just be swinging it out and pop it out, that's no pressure on the defense. They don't have to worry about it. So.
One point to that, I want to kind of brag about Fernando as being our guest here. I did look up some stats on him, and one of his biggest years, he had over 700 plate appearances, and he only struck out 46 times.
Yeah.
So,
yep. And we teased Nando. We teased Fernando. Said, "Man, you struck out 46 times."
Yeah. Yeah. I would be my dad. When I was growing up, we'd play, Colt Parkway Little League or Colt League, and I could go 3 for 5 with 2 doubles and a home run, and we'd talk about the 2 at bats that I struck out. He'd bring those 2 at bats up, not the good stuff. God bless my pops. He passed away this year, but he would.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that.
He would always get on me about the 2 times I struck out, and we wouldn't talk about the good things. It'd be the thing, why did you strike out? Which was, I think it'd be a better player.
Exactly. And that was the participation awards we're giving out now instead of earning things. I mean, it was like, I remember we were at Grand High School, me and Taylor Duncan, and I struck out one time, and I start walking back to the dugout. Them guys start cracking up. I mean, they thought that was the funniest thing on earth. What? You struck out?
Yeah.
Listen, I would get embarrassed. Yep, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Hated that feeling coming to the dugout.
Hated that feeling.
Yep.
And it's a shame now with that launch angle talk. Pitchers are pitching up in the zone. You know, they said pitchers are throwing harder now, but harder doesn't make a difference if they're around the plate. You know, harder timing wise. And you said the perfect words, Fernando, when you said earlier, slow it down. Yes. Everything in this game, if you learn how to slow it down, you're going to have a lot more success in all aspects of it. And so overpowering pitchers that threw hard didn't make a difference. Am I right?
Without a doubt. I loved a guy that threw cheat. I loved a Randy Johnson or a Kurt Schilling or a Billy Wagner. I mean, these type of guys throw hard, and they would. I mean, it'd feel like a bowling ball sometimes when you'd hit the ball if you weren't right. But I love a guy like that because all I had to do and what we had to do is just get our front foot down earlier. That's all.
There it is. That's what Tony Gwynn always said. As long as I get my front foot down, I'm okay.
I'm done. I'm okay. And it's amazing, like you said, Leon, in this game, whether you're an infielder, outfielder, pitcher, or you're hitting, if you slow things down and get your feet down in all those aspects and you really concentrate on seeing the ball, you're going to have a good chance at the end of the day.
That's huge. That is huge. That is huge. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been outstanding. I'm fired up now, man. This is talking baseball like this, and this is like home. Steve and Ryan, these are guys I grew up with. These are the guys. I'm kind of a little older, but I set the stage.
It's the Sacramento crew.
Yeah.
We all grew up there.
But here's the thing. During our era, we had more people signing professional contracts than any other city in the country per capita. And then when they start changing and all the club ball and travel ball, and you saw kids losing interest early because we were always getting together in different regions of the town and playing pickup ball. Mm-hmm. Fernando brought it up a little earlier. Get your reps in. We got our reps in every single day because that's what we love to do. The reps give you confidence.
Right.
And you take 500 ground balls, you're thinking, well, I'm taking, but you're getting not only better, but you're getting confidence in your skills and your ability to perform. Yeah, but you see coaches control everything from practice to the games. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. Yes, coach. That's all you hear instead of giving some feedback. How do I do this? You do it the way I tell you to.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's going on. Kids are quitting. 70% of kids are quitting baseball after 12 years old. Did you know that, Fernando and Ricky? I mean, it's just like, let's make it fun again.
Yeah. We could work and be serious, but we're going to have fun doing it, you know?
Exactly. It's not, I always say it's fun, but it's not fun in games.
Yeah, exactly. And I like what you said about getting your reps in, Leon, also.
Yes.
And I tell kids these days, just like when you're in a classroom and you're studying for a test, how good do you feel when you walk into that classroom that Friday morning, you have a test, and you know the last 3 days or 2 days you studied really, really good, right? I mean, you go in there confident.
Can't wait to get there.
Same way as an infielder or a player in any aspect. If you work and you do things the right way, I'm going to feel good going out there playing every day.
A lot of confidence. Yeah, a lot of confidence.
Man, it changes everything.
Yeah, Leon, you're the one that taught me that repetition is key, you know. And
that's it.
That goes with all life aspects. It goes with everything, you know.
Repeat, keep doing it. There's that 10,000 hour rule. Exactly. You know, you do anything for 10,000 hours, you're going to be good at it no matter what you do. But nowadays, the coaches are controlling the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, that can't happen.
You know, the players got to take credit for their own 10,000 hours. I know one time I was in Florida, Fernando, and went to the IMG camp there, and was there all the time. And Nomar Garcia-Parra was in there during the off season. I was there with Derek's coming up agent, Casey Close. And he's in that indoor facility. He's throwing a rubber ball against a wall, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. One bounce in the air, one bounce, backhand. And then me and Casey went over to the little coffee shop at some, sitting there and talked a little bit, came back to the indoor facility, and there's Nomar still getting there doing it. He's just coming off an MVP season. And I'm going, Nomar, man, you getting it done today. He said, got to get better.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Keep working it.
Bottom
Keep
line.
working. That's it.
So, Leon, I know I hate to do this, but we're kind of running up against our podcast hour here. And I know we wanted to get some final thoughts, and of course our weekly trivia question from Ryan. So maybe
before the trivia question, go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Well, we can get to some final thoughts from y'all.
Well, he's going to ask the trivia question. We'll answer it. Maybe I don't know trivia. I'm not good. I'll have Ricky and Fernando. I don't know anything about trivia, but
you got it.
Should know more. Did I get it right last time?
Yeah, you got it. It was Nolan Ryan. You got it.
Okay, but anyway, I want to say ahead of time that in the future, anytime Fernando, we're usually doing this. We're back doing it about once a week, and then later on we'll kind of open it up but you're more than welcome anytime. If you got something to talk about or anything, just let Ricky or Steve, myself know, and Ryan, and jump on here and let's talk baseball, because it's just fun. It's really fun. So just really appreciate you guys coming on and spending this hour with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me. And whenever you guys need company, I'm ready for my reps.
I definitely again appreciate you guys having me on. Leon, Steve, Ryan, Fernando, appreciate you coming on and talking some of that knowledge with us, man. That Gold Glove knowledge is great, man. I appreciate it.
That's it, Ricky. You know that, brother. I love you, man. And thank you, Leon. Thank you, Steve. And thank you, Rhino. Thank you guys for having me on here and being able for all of us to share the game of baseball, a game that I'm passionate about, and a game I love, and a game that blessed me to the best of my ability. I'm grateful. Thank you.
All right, Ryan.
That's awesome.
Ryan, do you want to
trivia?
All righty. So I'll do my trivia question. So, I don't know if you know this, Fernando, but hence my Dodger hat.
Are you front running because they won the World Series, Rhino?
No.
They are seriously diehard fans.
Anyway, so Clayton Kershaw
Tribute
was the third fastest pitcher to reach 2,500 strikeouts. Do you know the other two prior to him? They're both Hall of Famers.
Sandy Koufax and Nolan Ryan.
You got one of them, Leon.
Don Larson.
No, that's a good guess, though, Fernando.
Which one did he get?
He got Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan pitched longer.
This other guy's kind of a sleeper. You got to think back. It's before Nolan Ryan.
J.R. Richard?
No,
they were the same time, before Nolan Ryan.
Before Nolan Ryan.
Bob Gibson?
No.
Can you give us an era?
Charlie Huff.
Hold on.
What's that?
Don Drysdale.
Closer with the era, but no.
You're killing us.
How about a team?
He was a player and also a manager.
He was a player manager.
How about a team?
Yankees.
Well, it wasn't Whitey Ford, was it?
No, it wasn't Whitey Ford, but I heard this on the MLB Network the other night. That's why I wanted to say this. Okay. How about this? Think of Washington, but not the Nationals.
Jim Bunning?
No. The Big Train.
Senators?
Walter Johnson?
Yep. Steve got it. Yeah.
Walter Johnson. Okay, yeah.
I had to hear about that one too. When I heard that on the MLB Network, it was kind of like jeepers,
You're going way, way back.
Yeah.
But
that is
Clayton Kershaw, Nolan Ryan, and Walter Johnson.
Wow.
Three fastest pitchers to get to 2,500 strikeouts.
And what about
how
about Felix Hernandez? He's on there. Got to be.
He's got to be pretty close.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And Fernando, did you play with Felix
right now? But
against him.
Against him.
Yeah, I was at Seattle when he came up, but I seen his body of work, and he was pretty. He's nasty.
Oh wow, yeah, Fernando, you're right there. He's at 2,524,
Mm,
2,524 strikeouts. He's right there.
he's on that list.
And
Yeah,
got
he's on the
33
list. Good
first round
call,
plays he
Fernando.
made.
There you
Yeah.
go.
All right,
All
guys.
right.
Well, thanks again, Fernando and Ricky and Leon and Ryan. And again, I want to remind everyone that the main podcast site is Talking Baseball with leonlee.podbean.com. And you could also find us on Spotify and Google Podcasts. And the email address is talkingbaseballwithleonlee@gmail.com. And again, condolences to you and your family, Fernando, for your father's loss. And want to say thank you to all of our fathers who helped us talk baseball and learn the game of baseball. And we'll talk to you all again soon.